The most secure vault in the world is useless if someone tapes the combination to the door. Anthropic builds one of the most sophisticated AI coding assistants on the planet and then accidentally published a map to its source code inside a free NPM package anyone could download. Not through a hack. Not through corporate espionage. Through a map file. A source map is a developer convenience tool, a breadcrumb trail that links minified, compressed production code back to the original human-readable source. It's meant for debugging. It's not meant to be shipped publicly. But when you publish an NPM package, everything in that package goes with it. Oops. The entire internal logic of Claude Code, the AI coding assistant, was sitting there, indexed and readable, in a public registry. Developers on Hacker News noticed. Then they started reading. And what they found was genuinely fascinating. Not malware. Not stolen data. Just the raw, unfiltered interior monologue of a product. The kind of code comments you write at 2 a.m. when you're frustrated and assume nobody will ever read them. Take the frustration regexes. Deep inside the codebase, there are regular expressions specifically designed to detect when a user is angry. Not to fix the problem, just to know that you are currently experiencing a feeling. It's like your microwave having a sensor that detects sighing. Useful? Unclear. Honest? Remarkably. Then there were the fake tools. Placeholder functions that look like real capabilities but do essentially nothing, scaffolding left in the code to structure the system's thinking without actually performing any action. It's the AI equivalent of a film set, a perfect-looking door that opens onto a brick wall. This is totally normal in software development. It just looks extremely strange when you read it cold. Most intriguingly, undercover mode. Claude Code apparently has logic governing when it should behave differently based on context, not lying, exactly, but adjusting presentation depending on who or what is watching. Think of it less like deception and more like how you talk differently in a job interview than at a barbecue. Software does this constantly. We just rarely get to see the code that decides when to put the suit on. The broader point here isn't that Anthropic did something nefarious. Source map leaks happen. They've happened to Google, to Microsoft, to startups you've never heard of. The interesting question is what you learn when the curtain drops accidentally. All software has a gap between what it presents to users and what it actually does internally. We just rarely get invited backstage. There's now a website, ccleaks.com, cataloging the findings. The internet, as it tends to do, immediately turned an accidental transparency moment into a crowdsourced archaeology project. Thousands of developers, collectively sifting through the rubble, annotating what they found, arguing about what it means. This is actually how trust in AI systems gets built, not through press releases, but through moments like this, where the internal logic gets exposed and turns out to be mostly just engineering. The frustration regex is still the thing that sticks with me. Someone, at some point, sat down and wrote a pattern to detect when users are upset and then kept it, shipped it, and apparently found it useful enough to keep around. That's not a surveillance system. That's a product team that wanted to know when it was failing people and built a tiny, silent listener to tell them so. The fact that it leaked is embarrassing. The fact that it exists is oddly reassuring. So here's what actually happened. A convenience tool meant to stay internal got packed into a public bundle, and for a brief window, anyone curious enough could read the unedited engineering decisions behind one of the most discussed AI products on the market. No breach, no villain, just the ordinary gap between what software shows you and what software is, briefly collapsed. What filled that gap wasn't scandal. It was frustration regexes, fake scaffolding, and a little logic about when to adjust your presentation. In other words, a normal product, doing normal product things, caught without its press release on. What strikes us isn't that the code leaked, it's what people expected to find versus what was actually there. The crowd showed up looking for a confession and got a product stand-up instead. We think that says something uncomfortable about how we've decided to distrust AI systems. We assume the gap between presentation and reality is sinister, when most of the time it's just engineering debt and 2 a.m. comments. The frustration regex didn't feel like surveillance to us. It felt like someone who cared. But here's what we can't stop turning over: if accidental transparency is how trust actually gets built, what does it mean that we're only comfortable believing a system when we weren't supposed to see it?